Boom! Here we go. Brand new series. So, guys, it's been a while. I've been very busy with Shreddy Boys and doing Vicious Attack stuff that I haven't really done any individual stuff myself. So, this series is something that I've wanted to do for a while. But, yeah, it's just been kind of on the back burner. So here we are. Brand new series. I'm calling this Mike's Rig Rundown. We'll see if there's a logo. There's probably not. I haven't gotten that far yet. We're going to shoot from the hip with this. So basically, Mike's Rig Rundown, what I do is I take a piece of gear that I have and I basically analyze and review it for anybody who's interested, basically. So this is a little different in general, but in this episode, because I'm going to review a guitar that I got like basically a month and a half ago, and I've never had any experience with it. But yeah, I am going to be reviewing this guitar right here. This is the, I guess if the model number, it would be the Firefly FFLV Silverburst. So, as you could see, it is a beautiful guitar, and I will be going basically down a list of things that I find pretty important in a guitar to have. And yeah, we're going to talk about it. So, alright, here we go. Mike's Rig Rundown. Alright guys, so what is important when you get a new piece of gear? More specifically, what is important when you get a new guitar? You have to think about certain factors, right? So I have a list here that I created that I will be running down. I've got hardware, the neck, comfort of the guitar, the sound, obviously, the playability, the general aesthetics, and then I'm going to give you an overall rating. So here we go. Let's start with the hardware. So with a guitar like this, if you know anything about Firefly, they are these super cheap guitars on this website, Guitar Garden, and there's been a lot of fuss about it. There's been a lot of YouTube videos, people buying them and, you know, kind of doing the exact same thing, just reviewing it. What is the hardware like? So, you know, I've had this for about a month and a half now, and when I mean hardware, I'm talking about the bridge, I'm talking about the switch pickup, you know, the tuners, you know, that's very important when you buy a cheap guitar. You expect to get these really cheap tuners. And after a month and a half, honestly, like, it's fine, you know? So I've had a lot of guitars over the time, and this guitar, you know, has decent hardware. I took this to Guitar Center to have it set up, and my guy basically opened it up and said that there was even room for, like, you know, coil splitting and stuff like that. The electronics inside of this guitar are, like, pretty decent, he said, which is very surprising. So me just talking about, like, let's say the bridge and tailpiece and all that, the switches. So, you know, I've had this guitar for a little bit now, and there is nothing wrong with the switches here. You know, nothing fuzzy coming in, just straight on, perfect. Nothing, no cutting in, no cutting out. The tailpiece and the bridge seem to be basically the standard quality you would get in, let's say, like a medium range guitar. So this isn't the best, but it's not the worst. Honestly, it's just a bridge. It's fine. There doesn't seem to be any indication of, like, you know, oxidizing or anything like that. So yeah, it just seems good. This was the most important part. So these tuners are very standard kind of cheapy, you know, like tuners. You know, obviously the guitar comes from China, so I thought, I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna have to probably replace these immediately. Even these tuners, like, they hold tune very well. I haven't had any issues yet. Yeah, granted, it hasn't been that long, so we'll see. But yeah, they're no-name tuners. I don't know if you could see that. Probably not. But yeah, they're fine. Everything on this, you know, so far, all the hardware is fine. Where I would put the straps doesn't, you know, like the wood doesn't seem weak or anything like that, so it's holding the guitar just fine. My only issue with the hardware specifically is where they put the jack input. On a V, typically you don't want it You want it kind of like up here somewhere on the bottom. That way you could wrap the cord around when you have the strap, and it's kind of not a hassle. I play all of my V's between my leg. So the jack input is here, and that's kind of an issue because that means I have to get an angled cane bolt, you know, when I'm sitting. So that kind of sucks, but if you can get over that, like, yeah, absolutely no problem with the hardware. All right, so let's talk about the neck next. Now, I've had guitars for a very long time. I mean, I've had probably over 30 guitars in my life at this point, and they've all varied from, you know, ebony to rosewood to maple, every, you know, neck you could think of on a lower to higher range guitar. Obviously nothing custom. I've never had a custom guitar like a, you know, a keys or anything like that. But this neck probably ranges somewhere in, I'd say, the middle, you know, in terms of quality. It's nothing spectacular, but it's fine. You could play, it feels fine, it feels natural with the neck. Yeah, I don't know, it just feels fine, you know. It does have, the profile is not the slimmest. I'd say it's about an Epiphone style neck, you know, so if you could picture that. I don't know if all the guitars are like that, that's just what this is. So it is slightly chonkier than I'm used to, and then the neck does have a gloss on the back. So, you know, it's going to slow you down. You could always sand it down if you want. But honestly, you know the style of music that I play, it does not slow me down. The frets, yeah, they're fine. They seem like regular frets. They don't seem to be tarnishing over time. It's been, again, a short amount of time, but it seems to be holding up. So, yeah, neck is good too. I'd say in terms of overall comfort, I kind of touched upon it slightly. It just kind of like sucks playing sitting down a little bit. I recently purchased some angled cables so that I could put it in the slot right here on the side so that I could sit down and play, because that's a huge, you know, I have a lot of guitars and I don't have any issues with any of them sitting down and playing. This is the only one, so I bought some angled cables recently, and that issue has been eliminated. But yeah, you know, other than that, the comfort has been fine. It's very light, you know, it's not falling all over the place. It's just fine. You could take it on stage, you could take it, you know, anywhere really. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem to be handicapped in any other way other than the input jack. So yeah, good guitar, very well balanced, very comfortable to play. Alright, now the sound. Now if you're a guitar player, you know, and you've had multiple guitars, you know that if you buy a specific guitar, you know, and it doesn't have, like, let's say EMGs, or like, you know, like if you have a Seymour Duncan Sentient, and, you know, like, you know that if you buy like a cheaper guitar, typically you're gonna have to swap out these pickups. So this guitar had, you know, nondescript, you know, like chrome pickups, chrome Chinese pickups, and they were not great. I'm not gonna lie to you on that. They were bad. Now, this is just part of the course for a guitar player. You're always gonna want to switch out that pickups. That's just how it is. So what I did was I just swapped out the bridge here with a DiMarzio Evolution. So now it sounds way better. It sounds phenomenal, actually. So yeah, you know, just know that when you buy a Firefly guitar, you are definitely going to have to change at least one of these pickups. So, yeah. As I was saying earlier, again, overall playability, just fantastic. I think comfort and playability are definitely, you know, in the same category, but then again, just a little different, you know. Like, you can be very comfortable with a guitar, but, you know, I've seen a lot of people comfortable with really, really bad guitars. And, you know, it's just what happens over time. You get used to what you have, and, you know, you hand that guitar to somebody else, and the playability is just awful because you're not used to that guitar. So, in terms of playability, I'd say if you were to give this to anybody, whether it's a beginner or an advanced player, I think they would, the guitar itself is very playable, you could, I don't think you're going to have any issues. But yeah, overall playability, great. All right, finally the aesthetics. I talked about it earlier. The hardware is all chrome hardware. Every Firefly guitar is going to be different. But what really obviously caught my eye about it is this Silverburst. So on the actual website, the Silverburst looked a little weak, and I was a little worried, but they just had really bad pictures of it, because the Silverburst is just absolutely phenomenal. They have the burst continued on the back. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. I'm going to take some stock footage later. And the Silverburst just goes right up the neck. So this thing is absolutely beautiful. And it's got this black pickguard, which I've never had on a guitar before, like a classic style pickup. It's got little inlays that are very reminiscent, again, of Epiphone or Gibson. And yeah, the overall aesthetic, I am extremely happy. I haven't had to change anything, whether it's, just out of like it being cheap or anything like that. No, this thing is fantastic. It looks fantastic. And yeah, I'd say generally I'm extremely, they have a lot of different styles for a lot of different shapes on that guitar. So I'd say aesthetics just overall fantastic. It is what basically drove me to look at the company as a whole. So there you go, aesthetics. Alrighty, now this is where this can get a little tricky, because obviously everybody has a different experience. Everybody's going to have different thoughts on where you place what. Obviously it could be the most beautiful guitar in the world, but if it's not playable, who cares, right? It's just a wall piece. So I'd say an overall rating, when considering all these factors, you're gonna have to swap out a pickup. You're gonna have to set it up. It was a little rough. I had to set it up. You're gonna have to change the strings immediately. And yeah, you know what? This is not the best guitar in the world. It's not. But it feels and plays good. It's a fantastic backup, And honestly, if this was your primary, you wouldn't scoff at it either. This is a good guitar, and for the budget, let's also state for the budget, this is the best kind of guitar that you're gonna get for that kind of budget. It's ridiculous. I paid I think $220 for this guitar, and the fact that it's loaded with just a Silverburst alone on a guitar like this is incredible. So the fact that it's loaded with this, it's loaded with the options for the electronics to go single coil. You could do a push-pull system. The tuners aren't bad. I haven't had any issues with having to tune this thing every so often. And yeah, so you got to also consider, for the price, this is a fantastic guitar. Is it the best guitar? Is this a higher end ESP or Ibanez or any of your custom guitars? Absolutely not. But for the price, this is a fantastic alternate. This is a fantastic side guitar. So overall rating, I'd give it somewhere between a 6.5 and a 7. Again, for those factors where this is, again, not the best guitar, but it's phenomenal for the money. I cannot stress that enough. So yeah, I'd say a 6.5/7 out of 10. If you get this, you're going to have to put in a little work, not too much work. Like I said, I just had to swap out the pickup and set the thing up, and it was ready to go. I didn't have to change the tuners. I didn't have to fiddle around with any of the electronics or there wasn't any faulty switches. I'm very happy with my purchase here. So yeah, guys, give them a look on the old internet and see if there's something there for you. They have Les Paul shapes, they have Tele shapes, they have Explorer shapes. So this is the V's. I'm a V guy, obviously, so I looked at the V's first. But they have all these awesome color options that you're just not going to get with specific companies. So if you want a classic looking guitar, for really good money, go with Firefly. Yeah. So, guys, that was the first. I don't want to call it an episode. I guess the first video of my series. Mike's rig rundown or Masky's rig rundown. And I hope you guys liked it. This is obviously just an idea that I've had. It's a little loose. Obviously, you could tell how loose this is. But yeah, if people like it, then I hope to do not only new gear, but gear that I already have, and just kind of explain what I do with it, how I like it, analyze it just like I analyzed this. But yeah, guys. Woo! Boom! First video in this series. Like and subscribe, blah, blah, blah. Go check out Firefly Guitars. Alright. Goodbye.